Hey, hope everybody's doing well. Oh, these curtains are. Can y'all see me? Cool. Anyways, I had Technical Sergeant Kevin Vasquez ask a question. Well, how do you set your guidon bearer up for success? How do you do what you do to make them one of the elite? One of the things you don't have to worry about. Because believe it or not, when you don't have a good guidon bearer, it could trigger you a little bit. So I'm going to give you some of the things that I used to do to make sure my guidon bearer was always set up for success. So immediately, it really doesn't matter the size, per se, but the taller, honestly, the better. Why? Because they have a longer arm, they have more torque. All right, so you're probably saying, oh, the steps are too long or whatever. And then teach them to take a little bit smaller steps. 24-inch steps are normally a little bit too big. I would shorten up the steps so even the back people on the back of the flight can be nice and smooth. Because if they're 4'10" and trying to take 24-inch steps, you think they're going to be smooth? You won't be smooth, so don't hold them accountable for that. You got to be fair. So I always tell my guidon bearers, take between 18 and 20-inch steps so that everybody has a chance to roll their heels so the people in the back ain't trying to catch up and taking really big steps. Nobody's measuring anyway. They're going to see how smooth they look. Are they in step? And that's it when it comes down to marching. So that's number one. The taller, more torque. If you want to make it short, that's great. But remember, the arms are going to be shorter, so they're going to have to do a lot of strength exercises that we're going to cover a little bit later. One of the things that you have to do is you have to schedule the practice on the WAS. What do I mean by that? When do you do that? In the evenings, when you have time. So during details, that is my guidon bearer's detail. So during evening detail, I'll go downstairs with them. But guess what I do? I take the whole stairwells, one team, one fight, and I train them, all of them, to not only compete with each other, but to also work out their guidon bearer procedures together so our whole stairwell looks good. And I also incorporate the whole stairwell to take a week. Hey, work on this, work on that, work on these parade procedures, work on this for retreat. All the way up so they always look good. And they're always anticipating all the commands. How are you going to anticipate the commands? Believe it or not, I have a Word document about parade procedures right now, perfectly the way they're executed right now. Because when I was in MTI first, back in 2009 to 2014, I created my own guidon bearer procedures of what exactly they have to do. And I always walked and talked them through everything. I went out to the retreat pad, not retreat pad, the parade pad. And I just said, hey, this is my spot. This is your spot. This is the 8 flight guide spots. Blah, 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 blah. And I walked them all the way through. And I started off with the very beginning. They go back and do it again. Do the very beginning again. Do it again. Do it again. Now they got the first part down. They've done it 5 times perfectly. Move on to the next 3 or 4 steps. And then they start all over again. And you build it up. So what I typically do is, this is brand new to them. I try to be patient with them. And I always have goals in mind. And they have to achieve those goals before we go back upstairs. Because, of course, when you go back upstairs, you got to check details. So depending on how long you get them for details is how long the practice is going to be. All right. With that all out of the way, here are some of the exercises that I give my guidon bearers so that they are good to go. So I wish I could be on a drill pad to show y'all, but I'll show you right here. So what I do is I'll tell them to grab the bottom of the stick and push down and push up. So they're not just using just their right arm and going like that. I'm telling them to wrench it down. That's going to bring it up super fast. So they wrench it. And then when they pull it down, I throw it under their armpits with the left hand and come down. It's going to cause a lot of swiftness, and they're going to have a lot more control into it. That's the first thing I teach them. So I'll start off with like regular 25 where they're not really doing anything, just warm with the arm. I think it's very important to warm it up. And then I'll say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Sometimes I'll grab a guidon with them so they can understand how quick they need to be. So there's, like I said, they're starting at right here, and you say 1, and they wrench down, 2, 1, 2, and that's what I'll do. One of the other things that I do is, if they have the stick, imagine if I'm standing up, and I'm teaching them how to go to carry guide on, I'll say left, and they'll pick it up in like 1 second, and I'll say as you were, and they'll drop it with just their right hand, because sometimes the trainees will pick it up with their left, they try to lower it with their left. No, pick it up with your left, drop it, drag, drop, drag. So that's what I'm teaching them. I'm going left, as you were, right, as you were, about, as you were, and I'm watching them drag it to their feet. Drag, 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 over and over and over again. And then we'll do the motions. Left, haze, 1, 2, hits the ground, drag. So it's a 4-count drill movement basically for them. So right, haze, 1, 2, drop, drag. About, haze, 1, 2, drop and drag. That's all I'll do, and I'll tell them to say it. Just say it, just say it, so they get used to it. And then I'll teach them present arms, and I'm making sure that they're quick. The same motions that I said in the very beginning of the video, they'll do stuff like that. Oh, some of the other things that I do is, you'll see trainees doing the figure 8, right? I don't do that, because you will never use that type of exercise ever. What I teach them is that isometric and just holding it out. I'll say, hey, let's do 30 seconds. Let's do 30. So they're holding it, especially for young ladies, right? Hold it for 30 seconds. If they're dying and they're starting to droop or whatever like that, and they're holding it out, they can get their left arm up at any time. Now, the NBC might say, hey, they're never going to put their left arm up, but there's no regulation on it whatsoever. So if they need it, they need it. But the whole goal is to try to get them to do it 30 seconds without dropping. Now, what they could also do is they can feed it back. Feed it back so it's coming this way a little bit, and it gets a little bit lighter. But if you go to order arms, you're going to hit the ground a little bit quicker because the back end is going to be protruding out the back. But guess who can't see them pushing it back or pulling it back? Nobody. Nobody can see it, because the crowd can only see the ornament side, and you're pulling it back. And that's what I'll tell them to do. I'll say, hey, pull it back first. Pull it back. If they feel like they're going to drop it, then the left arm goes up, and that's it. I just don't care at that point. And then they'll hold for a minute. And then I'll do it with them, because I want to lead by example. So I said, let's do it together. Let's do it together. And believe it or not, my workouts that I do some isometrics. Like, I'll hold it for a verse, and then I'll drop, and then when the verse comes on again, I'll hold my arms out or whatever like that, just to make sure that I can hold it in an isometric hold. Because maybe one day you have to be a guidon bearer for maybe an event or whatever like that, or your guidon bearer goes down and the other guidon bearer is sick that day. I've done guidon bearer twice, and both times my guidon bearers were both wiped out. So I had somebody else march my flight, and I was a guidon bearer because I volunteered to do it. I'm trying to think about, all right. So if this is authorized, I don't know if it is authorized, but I brought in a 5-pound weight, and it's in my day room. 5-pound weight. It's only for the guidons. I only bring one. And what they do is they just practice holding it out. 30 seconds to a minute, maybe. They're holding it. And then they do a couple sets. You know, sometimes I'll bring in 2 so both shoulders can get the workout or whatever like that, but they're just working on their isometrics. So then when they go downstairs, the stick is a little bit lighter. So I don't know if that's legal nowadays or whatever like that, but I do monitor it. I make sure they don't play around with it, especially the males. And that's how I get them to be really strong. That's how I get my guidon bears to be really, really, really good. I can't think about anything else at the top of my head right now, but I'm trying to do this in one take. So I try not to make this longer than 10 minutes. So I hope this stuff helps. Remember to give your guidon bearers scripts. If you don't have a script, you can reach out to me, seneca.linder.1@us.af.mil. I'll give you the script. For retreat, you got to make your own script. I don't have one for that. But that's all I got right now. God bless. Take care.